It was a crisp morning when Adrian, a 45-year-old man with a stout build, was jolted awake by loud noises from the neighboring house. Groggily, he peered through the window, his irritation mounting. The house next door had new residents, an imposing, well-built man around 40 years old. Adrian's eyes narrowed as he watched two officers emerge from the man's home. Feeling a surge of annoyance, Adrian threw open his front door and shouted, "Hey, you troublemaker! Knock it off! It's too early for this! Don't make the cops come back to cart you off!" The man, Malik, stood still, his face unreadable as he adjusted some boxes on his porch. Adrian, pleased with his boldness, turned to head back inside, but his gaze fell on a large box resting near his property line. Fuming, he stormed over and kicked it across the pavement. "Get your junk off my property," he yelled. Malik didn't flinch. He remained calm, his deep voice steady. "Why are you messing with my things?" Adrian sneered, his voice sharp. "Your trash is spilling over onto my land. You ought to be grateful I didn't throw it all away. And don't talk to me like that." Malik's jaw tightened and his fists clenched. He moved closer to Adrian, his towering figure casting a long shadow over him. For a brief moment, the air between them was thick with tension, as if a confrontation was about to explode. But then Malik closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. Without a word, he lifted the box and moved it back inside, leaving Adrian standing in the driveway, feeling smug. Adrian muttered to himself, "Thought you'd back down. Probably didn't want me calling the cops on you again." As Adrian went back to his morning routine, he was blissfully unaware of one important fact. Malik wasn't just an inconvenience. He was a force to be reckoned with, and the real danger was yet to come. The next morning, there was a knock at Adrian's door, a firm, persistent knock. Already irritated, he swung the door open, expecting to see Malik standing there. Sure enough, Malik was holding a plate of homemade cookies, his face neutral, but his eyes reflecting a calm courtesy. "I baked these to introduce myself," Malik said, his tone level and controlled. Adrian's face twisted with disdain. "I'm not interested in being friendly with people like you," he snapped. Without a second thought, he snatched the plate from Malik's hands and shoved it into his face, sending cookies flying across the porch. Before Malik could react, Adrian slammed the door with force, muttering curses under his breath. Behind the door, he imagined Malik standing there humiliated, and a petty satisfaction washed over him. Outside, Malik wiped the crumbs from his face, his hands shaking slightly. He paused for a moment, taking a deep breath before turning to walk back to his home, his expression unreadable. The next day, as Adrian carried his garbage to the curb, he saw Malik bent over his trash can, rummaging through the bin. At the sight, Adrian froze for a moment, then stormed toward him. "What do you think you're doing?" Adrian barked. "I was just looking for something," Malik murmured, his voice small. Adrian sneered. "Figures. You belong in the trash, too." Without a second thought, Adrian hurled his garbage bag directly at Malik, the contents spilling across his shirt. "There you go," Adrian hissed. "Pick through your own mess, you filthy thief." He didn't wait to see Malik's reaction. Instead, he stormed back to his house, slamming the door behind him. Malik stood still for a moment, wiping the garbage from his shirt. His face betrayed no emotion, but his clenched fists told a different story. He cleaned up the mess, then turned and walked back inside. Days passed without any further incidents from Malik, and Adrian allowed himself to relax, convinced that Malik had finally learned his lesson. But that illusion shattered one afternoon, when Adrian looked out his window and saw Malik standing near his own house, holding a set of binoculars, staring directly at Adrian's property. Fury surged in Adrian's chest. Without thinking, he grabbed his hunting rifle and stormed out of the house, marching straight toward Malik's door. His knuckles rapped sharply against the wood. "Open up, you son of a—" he began. When Malik appeared at the door, Adrian didn't give him a chance to speak. He thrust the barrel of the rifle against Malik's forehead, causing him to freeze, his eyes widening with fear. "You spying on me, huh?" Adrian growled. "If I catch you watching me again, I'll put a bullet through your skull." Malik's voice trembled slightly as he raised his hands. I wasn't spying. I promise I won't do it again. Please, just don't shoot." Adrian sneered, his finger poised over the trigger for a heartbeat longer before he lowered the rifle. "You're lucky I'm in a good mood," he spat, backing away from the door. "But next time, you won't be so lucky." As Adrian stormed back inside, he didn't notice the look of quiet determination in Malik's eyes. He didn't see the storm brewing just beyond the horizon. That night, as Adrian lay asleep in his bed, a noise from the living room broke his slumber. Heart racing, he grabbed his tablet and checked the security cameras. His blood ran cold. There, in the living room, was Malik, breaking into the house, trying to crack open the safe. A slow, cruel grin spread across Adrian's face. "That bastard won't get away with this," he muttered. He grabbed his rifle again and crept down the stairs, preparing to catch Malik in the act. But as he approached the living room, he noticed something odd. The basement door, usually locked, was wide open. Panic seized him. He rushed to the basement, and what he found there sent a chill down his spine. Stacked boxes of drugs surrounded them, and sophisticated machinery lined the walls. There were even rows of cannabis plants growing under artificial lights. Malik, holding his phone, had been filming it all. But as soon as Adrian's footsteps echoed in the basement, Malik quickly stuffed the phone into his pocket. It was too late. Adrian aimed his rifle at Malik's forehead, his voice cold and menacing. Well, looks like you picked the wrong house to rob. Welcome to the den of a drug lord." Malik's face drained of color. "Please don't kill me. I won't say anything. I swear. Just let me go." Adrian's face hardened. He'd heard this begging before. "No one walks away from this," he said, a twisted smile curling his lips. He pulled the trigger, sending a bullet into Malik's chest. Malik collapsed to the floor, lifeless. Adrian grinned. He'd just rid the world of another criminal. He didn't feel an ounce of guilt. Instead, he grabbed a knife, ready to dismember Malik's body. But just as he prepared to carry out his grisly task, a loud gunshot rang out from outside. Frozen, Adrian grabbed his own rifle, preparing to defend his territory. But then something impossible happened. Malik, covered in blood but seemingly unharmed, jumped to his feet. Adrian gaped in disbelief as Malik smiled and said, "You were tricked all along." Before Adrian could react, the front door slammed open, and a group of police officers stormed in, overpowering Adrian within seconds. He was too stunned to fight back. As they cuffed him, he struggled and screamed, "Let me go. He deserves to die. That filthy bastard." But the officers were unmoved, dragging him out of the house as he continued to shout. Only then did Adrian realize he had been caught in a trap. Here's a more condensed version. As the officers hauled Adrian upstairs, he asked, "Who are you?" Malik answered calmly, "I'm the head of an anti-drug task force. I've been watching you." Adrian realized too late his mistake in underestimating Malik. Malik's operation led to a major drug bust, and Adrian's arrest made headlines. Malik's success earned him a promotion, and he ended with, "I hope one day we live in a world free of crime and prejudice."